Okay. Hi, Apoorva. I think we are live now. So,
Hey,
welcome,
Ankit.
guys, to a conversation with Apoorva Sharma on marketing. Uh, Apoorva has actually been associated with Inside IM for quite some time now. We last year in I think somewhere in October last year we actually met Apoorva at
My campus, yes.
just I'm just hearing myself, so I'm just going to put myself on.
Sure.
Okay, sorry for that delay, guys. So, Apurva, we met you last year at the IMT Ghaziabad campus,
Yeah.
and we had a wonderful story to tell us about your career journey and about life at IMT Ghaziabad, etc. But today we are going to speak about marketing. Unfortunately, today we don't have a picturesque campus behind us. While doing this conversation, we are all in quarantine right now. But how are you doing, Apoorva? How have the last 4-5 months been for you?
It's good. I think so. First of all, thanks for having me today. I know you guys pulled me when I was in my campus, just visiting there, and because of you, I was able to go there after like a millennium, and it was amazing. And I absolutely enjoyed talking to you guys. So I thought it'd be good to talk to the community again today and take up any questions that people might have. I think I'm doing great. It's a very challenging time for everybody. I think now we are used to seeing people starting their emails, hope you're doing fine in these crazy times, and then coming to the main subject. So that's the new norm. But for me personally, I think it's been a blessing in disguise in the sense that I've got to spend more time with my 3-year-old son. And even though he's been trying to send emails to my boss, it's been it's it's been good balancing work and that. So I think it's a very crazy time, but at the same time, a lot of people who spend time with, hopefully with their loved ones, have been able to realize the value as well, right? So it's really good and lucky. All of us are lucky that way.
Great. Okay, let's dive right into our session for today. So Apurva, we are celebrating the marketing festival here digitally on Inside IM, and we've been doing
Right.
a series of things around marketing, and we thought that uh, there definitely was case for us inviting you for one of the days in the next 15-20 days to talk about marketing in general, because you have worked for some of the top brands in the world. I mean,
Sure.
currently you work for Apple, which is like a dream company for many people. Of
Sure.
course, I should just let everybody know who's watching this and is asking questions that Apoorva is here in his personal capacity. So, we won't be answering, very, very brand related questions. So just keep that in mind. Let the focus be on marketing careers and, how, you can build your profile for this particular career, how you can tackle interviews, etc. We will obviously talk about marketing in general. So,
Yeah.
Apoorva, first things first, let me get this out of the way. This question on how is the pandemic affecting marketing in general? Because uh, it's very difficult to know what's going on because most of us are locked out, locked
Yeah.
in to our own homes. So
Yeah.
what's happening outside? How is it that people are buying stuff? Obviously digital has become important, but how do you get consumer insights? How do you make your calls on running any kind of a campaign going forward?
Yeah.
I think there
Yeah.
is a huge amount of confusion around this. So what is your perspective on what's going on currently with respect to marketing?
Yeah, I think very interesting question. So it's changing very rapidly, if I could call it. And like you said, like I'm not here to speak about whatever I share is not about Apple's views on marketing, but how I personally see them, right? And I would say that during a time, so marketing historically has been playing the role of storytelling, right? Like that's literally the definition of marketing. You storytell about whatever products or anything service that you sell. And people were used to stories in the normal life. Suddenly, a pandemic came by, and everybody went quiet, right? And it was a factor of people don't not knowing what to do. It was about life and death. People not knowing how to select media. Even marketers like me did not know what's the right medium to reach out to people. What should we talk about our brands? What should we even position, and what do we talk about a promise of the future? Because nobody knew what the future holds for us. And the way I saw it is that marketing actually came out in the right time to give a ray of hope to people. So you remember, like when the lockdown started, suddenly brands went quiet. And then you saw the first TV ad, like, I don't even remember which brand it was Dettol. Obviously, like the sanitization brands jumped on the wagon immediately. But it sort of gave that ray of hope to people that, okay, I have something to look forward to. Like, if I keep my hands clean, wash my hands on time, whatever it is, then there is a tomorrow out there. Then brands like, the next level of brands started coming in, like the earlier ones like technology or smartphone or any other brands talking about that, hey, it's not just about keeping clean, but it's all about connecting with people, right? Like you can stay in touch with your friends and family through technology. And what I saw happening around was beautiful. Like brands as marketers immediately realized that it was not about like, I have the best this and this, go buy it. But it was what about connecting at a human level. And that I think has changed marketing, at least drastically in the short term. In the long term, obviously, people would want to say from a marketing lens that what does it hold? What does your brand hold for the future in the new normal? Like that's what I call it, right? So let's see what happens there.
Great. So, with respect to marketing as a career option for a lot of people, what's happened in the pandemic is that there have been a lot of budding marketeers who probably lost their pre-placement
Yeah,
offers or
yeah,
are struggling to get jobs in their dream roles, right? Um, what can they do at this point of time to ensure that they don't get cut out from a potential career in marketing? Because a lot of people out of
yeah,
desperation might be taking roles in other domains or sectors that are not necessarily aligned with
yeah,
their original thinking about marketing.
yeah.
And there's obviously a lot of anxiety around this. So as somebody like you who's actually worked at large organizations like Vodafone, Amazon, Flipkart, and you've done a lot of campus interviews yourself as well.
Yeah.
uh, how would you ask this generation of people, the class of 2020, the class of 2021, what would be your advice to use this time and ensure that they are set for a career in marketing despite the current disruption?
Sure, sure. So I would just say it's a simple one-line answer. Just keep solving problems. Don't sit still, right? And that if you would have asked me the same question when I go for an interview like last year, I would have said the same thing, that I choose people on the basis of what complexity of problems they've solved and the way they apply their mind to the solution around it, right? So it's been a tough time. I personally know a lot of people, forget even freshers. I know a lot of people who were tenured and doing well in their careers. Example, like the travel industry, who lost their jobs overnight, right? And I've spoken to them like, we're very fortunate to be in companies. We still have our jobs. We're doing well. We should not forget that. But there are people out there who don't have that right now. And what I encourage them to do is figure out the problems out there that you can apply your mind to, right? And doesn't mean that you have to have the right experience. So you'd be amazed to see within a span of days how many startups became big overnight, right? Startups who looked into digital world, startups who looked in solving people, the way people commute, the way people dine. I mean, like I saw amazing options like Zomato the other day reached out about, contactless dining options where you scan the menu, stuff like that. Like, so these are problems. And you don't realize, and you're smiling because you come from that world, because you have what you're doing right now is essentially solving a problem, which is connecting students to us. Figure out those 2 or 3 problems which interest you, right? Doesn't have to be where you go कि कुछ cool हो रहा है. Like, don't go around like AI, ML, this, that, just because you hear buzzwords, right? Digital, this, that. Figure out problems that attract you in the world around you. It could even be as simple as milk delivery in your society when nobody wants to go near the milkman contact. Like, figure
Right.
out how can you solve those problems, and prepare your own sort of solutions to it, right? tomorrow in the interview, people will understand. Like, it's not so, this is another thing I love about this time, is no matter who I speak to anywhere in the world, it could even be a friend from Mexico who I met 15 years back in my exchange program. I call him or her and I say, dude, how's the pandemic going? Like, it's a common problem everywhere. And tomorrow, when you actually give that interview, people will understand. Like, you have to stop panicking. Don't worry, you're not in a unique situation. So relax, first of all, focus on the problem states, figure out your solutions. And it's okay tomorrow in an interview when you say, like, hey, I don't have a real experience, but here are the things I saw, and here's what I think could have been done better. And if you actually do something around that, even better, right? Another thing I advise to people is, this is almost like a blessing in disguise for a lot of those startup founders who didn't have the resources, and certainly their problems have been identified by multiple other people. It's an open, digitally connected world. You and I having a Zoom call, reach out to people, reach out to 15, 20 people. In fact, I was on a session with one of the mentees on your platform the other day, and I said the same thing to him, that write those cold emails to startup founders, giving them nugget, bite-sized solutions of what you think their problems are and how they can solve them. Even if 1 out of 15 people reply to you, and trust me, those guys are hungry for free wisdom, right? You're not asking money for it. And they say, like, hey, I'd love to more about it. Let's have a virtual coffee session on a Zoom call. Even if it's a 15-minute call, you will learn so much. And who knows, you build a relationship that can help your years down the line. So that's how you should be looking at this time right now.
Okay, I'm going to take a small detour, because Apoorv mentioned about, the mentorship program. So actually, Apoorv has been kind enough to be one of the mentors on our panel, and he's also one of our more popular mentors. I highly recommend anybody who is looking to, build a career and requires any kind of help with respect to getting direction, figuring out the various domains, figuring out what kind of stuff they should do when they are at B school, or if they've graduated from any discipline and are looking to figure out a career in marketing. I think he's a great guy to go to. And if you're interested, do sign up for council. You'll find the link in the description. And I'm sure our team has been sending a lot of emails and push notifications about the same. So I just thought I'll get that out of the way. Okay, going back to the questions, and I actually have, I think I already have more than like 50 odd questions that students have asked us before the session began, and a lot of them I see now on the YouTube chat as well. So let me ask you this very, very interesting question that we've got from okay, let me just pull out the name so that I can at least recognize the person. So there's this guy called Abhinav Srivastav, who's asked this question: what is the future of meme marketing in context of global tech companies? And I think it's an interesting question, because these are obviously new frontiers of marketing. People don't realize the impact that memes have, right? We obviously first started experiencing memes with sporting events or with politics largely, but I think they are now becoming huge drivers of changes in habits or conversations that people have because of a really, really funny meme that they see. So how would you look at this particular answering this question?
Yeah, man, I love memes. I'm from the internet generation. I love memes. I'm absolutely addicted to the stuff that's out there. I'm from the generation of 9gag when it was started, right? So I understand where it comes from. So from a marketing lens, I would say so I would say two things. Okay, one is to the student community who is probably looking at people like us, and I'll also, if there are any marketing professionals watching us today or later, to them as well. Memes are very tricky, man. Like, very tricky. I've handled them myself in my previous roles, not in Apple, and I can tell you, they can either go your way, the way you want to explain it, or you can become a meme yourself, right? So, and that's the worst part. So I would say, before jumping on the meme bandwagon, you need to understand memes are essentially a very informal way of communications. Right? It's typically where people want to make fun of something, right? So only, and if only your brand wants to go into the informal zone, remember that that's when you can use a meme as a brand voice, right? For example, again, without going into details about my employer, and Apple and Nike will never use a meme because that's just not how their brand tonality and brand personalities, man. And you guys study in the Kotler books and all those, the brand personality, it depends on your brand personality. But like a Zomato or like a Swiggy, they would go out and out of memes. I think they primarily use meme marketing on social media, right? And so think about what your brand stands for rather than like, yeah, meme karte hain, it might become popular. And you're just looking for a viral hit. That's the first thing. The second thing is never ever forget the language that you use in a meme, right? So more often than not, the language somewhere or the other, while you might do, you want to jump on the bandwagon, kuch cool chal raha hai, there is something happening, and you want to make a meme or something. I remember seeing some really funny memes when we got the Rafale jets delivered, right? Like a lot of guys jumped on that, like, but remember, like, it has to connect back with your brand. It's not like zabardasti you're trying to make something to be part of the thing, then you're just always a me too brand, and in fact you lose your brand value there. So that's to the ones who are aspiring marketeers, right? Then one company I really admire who does memes really well is Netflix. Like, I have to hand it off to them. Especially Netflix India, their team is doing some fantastic work. They've used, what's that actress name, their favorite one, the one who comes in all their shots, never mind, Radhika Apte, yes. So they do a lot of fun memes on her, and rightly so, because it connects back to their brand and the productions that they're working on, right? So
Right.
so think about what you're doing rather than just trying to be cool. That's what I think.
So there is this new concept that a lot of people seem to be talking about is, trend hacking. Like for example, Dhoni retired. So we've figured out, I mean, memes is obviously one part of that, but like people go all out. And I often wonder whether, the original, king of trend hacking is actually Amul, right? Because we've been seeing that happening for like decades now. And obviously it has been shifted into the digital world now entirely. And have you ever been involved in any of these trend hacking kind of campaigns in any of the previous roles that you were part of, or
Sure.
Is that something that comes to your mind?
No, so I'll tell you, the trick with trend hacking is you have to have been consistently doing it. And Amul has been doing it for like 100, how many odd years, man? Like, I'm sorry, I don't know the count, but it's a legendary, it's known as a brand who will come with a unique original creative based on what's the buzzword around that time, right? Like that's the brand image it's built. I did some fun stuff with Flipkart. I have to admit, like, Flipkart, when I was with them, we were still I would say young startup, if I can call it that now. But yes, we did some really cool stuff. I wouldn't say trend hacking, but I would say that being a part of the voice, right? Because we were consistently known as a brand for India, made by India. And that's how we had to lay it out there. But yes, I mean, you would not see that with Amazon. Like, I worked with Amazon, it was more like a to the point, very, very cordial. So different tonalities. But yeah, I mean, that's what I would say.
Okay. Sticking with the theme around, marketing and differentiating and connecting that to trend hacking, memes, etc. One question that Abi Ali Sheikh has asked is that, he's an owner of a small cloud kitchen. Okay. And you were talking about Swiggy and Zomato. So he's asking, how do I differentiate my offering from others? He's asking you for some advice, Apoorv. Does something come to your mind? Because I think it's a relevant question, given that in a way we are all cloud kitchens are going to be listed on one of these apps, and they obviously have a lot of distribution power. So how does a small cloud kitchen figure out a way to differentiate its own brand, especially given that cloud kitchens will be in demand because people aren't eating out, going out and eating, but people are still ordering in. So do you have any tips, suggestions, tricks in mind for Abi Ali Sheikh?
Hey, hi, can you see me?
Yeah, we can. Did you hear the question?
Yes. No, I'm so sorry. This is the modern problems of working from home, the power went out. Extremely
No
sorry
problem.
about that.
No problem, Apoorv. So I'm just going to repeat the question. We have Abhi Sheikh, who
Sure.
is an owner of a cloud kitchen, and he wants to
Sure.
know how he can differentiate his cloud kitchen. And the context is, I think, important right now, given that cloud kitchens are all listed on one of these mega apps like Swiggy, Zomato, right? And
Yeah.
uh, so, how do you differentiate yourself as a cloud kitchen, given that so much of the distribution power lies with them? And also that cloud kitchens are going to become important, given people are not going to go out and eat. So, do you have any suggestions for Abi Ali? Okay, I think we've lost Apoorva for the moment. Apoorva, are you back?
Hey, man, I'm extremely sorry. This might happen once again. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So,
So I heard the question. I was just responding to it. So obviously, thanks for that question, by the way. I'm not an expertise. I don't have expertise in cloud kitchens, but I can still try and take a crack at it. As a consumer and like I would say like sort of an expert in the internet and digital domain, I would say it's very difficult to build a connection with the brand or like a kitchen or a restaurant until you go and experience it physically, right? So a lot of brands have often succeeded building their online presences after they have an offline experience, right? And nothing is more personal to humans being than food. Like if I don't experience the taste and the ambience around me, sometimes the food might be okay, but the ambience is amazing, and that actually accentuates the taste of the product that you're in. So for you, I would say just continue focusing on the product and try and build a community in the digital world around your delivery platform. So for example, an excellent case in point
okay,
is
Apoorva,
Biryani.
we can't hear you.
Hey, can you still not hear me? Hello?
Now we can. I don't know why.
Hey, did you miss the entire thing I was saying?
No. Only the last sentence. Only the last sentence.
Sure. So what I was saying is an excellent case in point is one of my favorite cloud kitchen restaurant, which is Biryani by the Kilo. I don't know how many of you have heard of it, but I remember them starting as a cloud only kitchen restaurant almost some 5 years back, where they focused on just the product, the way the product was packaged, delivered, and they started building a story around it, right? And I tell that too often to my friends who are actually in the cloud kitchen community is build a story around why you're doing. Like if you're giving paneer makhani, then like if it's just an ordinary paneer makhani, then it'll always stay like that. But if there is an effort that went into it, if let's say you source spices from certain regions of India which you think makes it the best paneer butter makhani, whatever it is, on that platform, talk about that story digitally. Try and create like digital presences, let people like it, share it, whatever. You can always give promotional coupons to people to share the word. I mean, again, just trying to say that try and create a community outside of just the fulfillment platform to help you build that brand.
Sure. So, Abhi, by the way, one small this from my side, we are doing a series of sessions, connected to marketing starting 25th of August. So we are doing a content and influencer marketing program. We are doing a program on FMCG marketing 101. We are doing a program on analytics in marketing. We're also doing a program on how to build an e-commerce brand online. So if you're interested in attending any of these, you'll find the link again in the description. You could also try, and maybe you will get more such um, you know tricks and tips, and probably some kind of a methodological approach to actually solving some of your entrepreneurship problems. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, taking the next question, this is something that I think you might be able to help answer. How can someone having 3 years of experience in IT make a transition to marketing, given that, marketing is generally done by freshers and people with experience are less preferred, and people with IT experience are probably preferred even less, is the conventional wisdom that goes on many campuses. So this is a question asked by Sai Swadesh Nayak.
Hey, Sai, that's an excellent question. And it's almost like you're asking the 15 years prior version of me that question, because that's exactly what I did. So I started my career in IT, hardcore technology, and I did make a transition into marketing. It might not reflect on my LinkedIn profile, but yes, I did marketing before I actually did an MBA. And in fact, one of the reasons I did an MBA because my boss pushed me to do a marketing MBA because I was just doing it anyway. So I would just say one thing. If you ask me for a simple answer, it's not going to happen so easily. There has to be a step-by-step approach, right? So don't just think you want to do marketing, right? You figure out what you want to do in marketing. If it's a consumer brand marketing, like if you say, come and tell me like, hey, I want to be the brand manager of Nestle Maggie, example, random thought, right? And you say like, I am a Java coder right now. That's not going to happen. Like if the difference between point A and point B is extremely different, wide, then you can't just make it meet without an MBA degree. But let's say if you want to get the skill sets of marketing, which is how do you tell a story? How do you package a product? How do you position the product, right? How do you basically price a certain product in the market? Then nothing stops you from doing that right now. In fact, when I speak to students in the mentorship program, that's what I tell them. Depending on what they are doing, figure out within your scope and your domain, what is it? Because marketing happens every single company, right? Look around you. Ask your manager to connect you with these sessions which catch up with people who is not related to your field at all, and figure out how they are packaging the product that you're working on. Even if it's something that you're developing, it has to be packaged into an end product that goes to a customer. So start learning the whole sales concept. And that's why I say sales is probably the biggest and the most important foundation of marketing. And then you'll realize how you tell a story around it. Maybe you can even shadow somebody on a role. Maybe you can ask for a small stint in another role. So try and get a taste of marketing to figure out what you like before jumping on to the next step.
Yep. Sai, Swadesh, feel free to attend our sessions as well. I think that could be a good start for you to figure out how you could actually build your marketing career. You made a great start by actually attending this session itself and asking this question. Okay, you mentioned sales, Apoorv. It's amazing that I've got actually 3 questions, that are connected to this. So, Shori Mehrotra is asking, is it possible to get into marketing without, doing sales in the initial stages of one's career? And we've got, I think, a couple of more people who have a similar question. It's now become such a huge list that I'm finding it difficult to figure out, who it was.
Sure.
But I mean, Nitesh Nilakar is asking, how to change the career path from sales to marketing? So I want to understand first, Apoorv, why do people not want to do sales? Like everybody seems to be afraid of doing sales, and everybody wants to directly jump to marketing. And I know that you've done a lot of sales. I remember your story about sitting on the top of a rickshaw and moving around in a village, trying to sell SIM cards. And I think it's I think it was a fantastic story and great experience. How would you tackle these questions that we have on sales and marketing and the importance of sales? Can I do marketing without knowing sales? So
guys, and Ankit, this is literally like if you had asked me when I was sitting, with my nice crisp shirt first, like I think I told about this in the video, right? Like just in the corporate headquarters of Vodafone in Bombay, in a beautiful boardroom presentation, and the guy would have come and told me like, are you ready to go to the village and soil your pants and go and sell SIM cards to people inside their huts? Obviously I would have not said yes, right? So I never wanted to do sales. Remember, I came with the marketing dream. Remember, like that's how my boss told me. Went into MBA. I thought I'll get into a good brand, do marketing, go fly abroad, do stuff like that, right? So nobody wants to do sales. Like obviously there are people, but it's not a popular field, right? And boy, are we wrong. And I say we because I was part of that pedigree. And I often tell this to people, you know, try karke dekho. Just try once. You might not like it immediately, but if you start taking an interest into what you're doing, you will actually become a great marketer, right? So let me explain why. What is sales all about? Sales is nothing but getting into the other person's mind. Like if I'm talking to you, like I forget it, and trust me, like when you're good at sales, you get good at even marriage and relationships because you can talk to your wife and girlfriends accordingly. Sales is about understanding what you want or what you don't want or what you might want before you even say it to me. That's what sales is. It's nothing at the core level, it's psychology. And that's the foundation of marketing. You know, I've worked with a lot of people. In fact, even in my current role, I have a lot of people around me who are in marketing who have not done sales. It depends on the type of marketing. So again, people use marketing as a very broad term, right? There are many, many, many fields inside of marketing. If you want to be a creative marketer, right? Like if it's just about creative, like this color looks better, this looks this, all of that, then you might not be absolutely necessary for you to do like a sales stint, like because you are a creative person. You have a more art direction sort of a mind and you can go forward to it. But if you're somebody who has a direct business impact, let's say, because ultimately even my metrics are how many sales happen. Like if I do a beautiful story and there are no sales, that means I'm a terrible marketer. So if I have an impact of business and I don't have a sales background, I can do it, but I'll never get it. I'll never get what the consumer wants. And remember, the consumer is never sitting in front of you. The consumer is sitting in front of a television set or reading a newspaper, right? And that's, if you don't understand their psyche, then you'll not be able to do. So it's not about, don't think about sales as going into tough situations, because people often think of sales as running on the street in the heat. Don't think of the situation, think of the skill set that you're developing and try it. Try karke dekho.
Okay, I am going to take a question from our YouTube chat now. There is a
Sure.
guy who's using the anonymous name called Lawyer Quarantine, and he asks
Sure.
that, what would be the suggestions that you would give to somebody who's transitioning from a completely different domain or profession? So he's
Yeah.
obviously a lawyer, clearly from his nickname, and wants to become a
Yeah.
marketer now. Probably has spent 5 years doing, his previous role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any suggestions for people like them to transition to marketing?
So I would say a lot of companies, especially younger companies, startups, mid to large set of companies, are actually looking for people with varied skill sets. If you look at my own example, right? Like while I've been in marketing, but every position I've moved in my past few roles has very little to do with what I was doing earlier. So to my lawyer friend, I would say is that you bring to the table excellent negotiation skills, right? Like that's, so one of my majors when I was doing my exchange program in Europe was negotiation, and I was surrounded by lawyers. And I realized those guys are amazing marketers. Because like I said earlier, remember just 5 minutes back, they can make you believe something and you're like, man, what just happened? Like he just took away the money from my wallet without even realizing it. So you have amazing negotiation skills if you're able to develop your brand management. So remember, like I said, it's a marketing is just about a balance. So think of all the skill sets that you're lacking. See if you want to take a course in creative strategy. Think if you want to take a course in design. Marketing is basically a wholesome role. So see if you can develop those skill sets and then approach young startups or mid to senior companies and ask them that if they would want someone like him with or her with that experience. And you'd be amazed. Like people are more than happy to give it a try. So try that.
Yeah, Mr. Lawyer, I hope that answers your question. I do feel that you could probably also look at the programs we are running, to make a start in this particular field. Next question is from Nanda Prakash, and a very interesting question. I think you would be one of the best people to answer this. How to create the desire for a product which might not even be necessary in the first place? And it's an interesting question, Apoorv, because I think when you were working with Flipkart, I don't think that people realized that e-commerce was going to become a necessity at some point of time, right? Even with your other roles, I mean, maybe even with your current role, you people might say that it's not necessarily a product that is necessary always. So how do you create that desire, for a product like that? I really like this question. Thanks, Nanda Prakash, for asking this.
Nanda, that's an awesome question. In fact, that's in my daily life, daily working life at Apple. I mean, that's a question that we often hear because I haven't been I've just been here for about 2.5 years now, but I've followed Apple as a company for the longest time, right? And you would often hear this about the Steve Jobs era, that they would give people products before they even think that they needed them, right? And that brings me to that. And I often ask this from my peers around. And like you said, Ankit, about my role at Flipkart, when I joined them, I was literally the single person hired to establish the seller brand. So people knew you could shop online, but people didn't realize you could also sell online. And Indians, especially the Marwadi community, who are so used to the shop, the physical store selling, you would go to them and they were like, I'm happy with my pin code. I'm the leader in my pin code. They would not think about the 50,000 other pin codes out there in India. I would say one thing, like if you've done your homework right, okay, and this sort of a situation requires a lot more homework than any normal product or service that you're trying to market. Understand that pain point the consumer has, which he or she might or might not be aware about. That pain point is very, very important, right? Like, for example, we're speaking on our AirPods right now. Now you see every Tom, Dick, and Harry company talking about the AirPods, right? Like, and I remember the first time when I saw it on stage, I was not part of Apple then. People were like, what the hell is that? Like, who's going to use that, right? And what's the pain point? I ask anybody and everybody right now, why do you use AirPods? They say convenience, man, convenience, right? So this is something that people wanted, they desired, they didn't have. When I was speaking to my sellers in Flipkart, people wanted success, growth. All the typical tier 2 generation of business family was like, my dad is a rich guy, I'm following his legacy, but mere ko bhi kuch karke dikhana hai. That thing of sprouting out and doing something, when you figure that pain point out, that's when you craft a story around it and tell it to them. Then they realize there's something out there and then give it a try, and then the rest is what they say becomes history.
Yeah, so that I think is a great segue into the next question that I have, which is how is the marketing different for an e-commerce company to an electronic devices company, right? Because you've been, in fact even been at a telecom company earlier. You were at Vodafone, then you shifted to Flipkart, then you were at Amazon. Amazing that you moved from Flipkart to Amazon. That's also an interesting story. And then from Amazon, now you are at Apple. And obviously, you had different variety of roles, but good question from, Arun Ramachandran Nambiar, about this thing about, how do you change your orientation when you are doing marketing for an e-commerce firm versus an electronic devices company?
Sure. So Arun, thanks for the question. The essence of my roles that I spoke about, while they appear disjointed in terms of their companies where I've been to, but they're actually jointed at the hip in the form of product marketing, right? So essentially, whatever I've done is talk about a product which could either be a hardware or a software or even a feature, right? So e-commerce marketing is nothing but like, you can't sell somebody an e-commerce platform. Like you can't say that, Flipkart pe shopping karo, Amazon pe shopping karo, Paytm pe shopping karo, because they all sound the same. The way these companies differentiated, and I was actually fortunate enough to be during that revolution there, is that the e-commerce companies pivot around products and features that make them unique and trustworthy for people to come and experiment them. Then it just becomes a habit. So for example, Amazon Prime users, I don't know how many of you have used Prime. Like once you become a Prime member, the reason they sell Prime as a feature is because they sell convenience. And then you buy into the platform by just becoming a Prime member, and you just keep getting benefits and end up spending more and more there, right? So e-commerce will always tell you like a no-cost EMI or like a like a certain discount that you get for the moment, or a bank offer that you get. These are nothing but small features, or even like some of the cool products that I worked on where people can chat with each other and shop at the same time. Those features make it unique. Now, fast forward in my current role, it's nothing but product marketing. Like, I'm identifying how a certain product for Apple can actually is the best choice for a smartphone or any consumer out there. So it's about figuring out what's the product and how can you use it. Why should it matter in your life? That's the core of it.
Okay. Now there are, a couple of questions on, what should be my roadmap if I want to make a career in marketing communication? What should I be doing at B School right now to ensure that I am,
Yeah.
able to do this well? And
Yeah.
this is a question, which was asked by Bhavya Bhatia. Connected to this question is a question from Adhyayan Agarwal, who's asking that, marketing is such a broad field. And so if I want to make a career in sales and marketing, what particular aspects I should pay attention to? I'm assuming again while studying. He also says that, unlike a finance, where there is a lot of other professional certification that you can do to, signal the fact that I'm really interested in doing a career. Like you could do a CFA, or an FRM to show that, look, I'm really interested in finance. For
Yeah.
marketing, maybe
Yeah.
there aren't as many recognized, popular certifications available outside. So,
Yeah.
what would be your, advice to both these gentlemen, Bhavya Bhatia and Adhyayan Agarwal?
Yeah. Hey, Bhavya. Yeah, thanks for the questions. I would say you're absolutely spot on. There are no certifications which will specialize in a marketing, unless like you're in like a tech marketing or like an IT services marketing, where even universities offer programs and right. But I would say, I don't know what courses you are doing, but if you're doing like generic graduation courses or generic post-graduation courses, I always encourage people at that stage to keep it open, right? So I never knew I wanted to do product marketing, or I was even good at digital or product marketing, right? I started as a consumer marketing guy. Digital just happened to me because of my interest and background in technology. So connect the dots. Try and connect the dots to what your background is or where your interest is. Like interest is very important. And then just expose yourself. So it's very important that if you get an opportunity, take it early in your career, whatever it is. It could be a village, it could be like a Bahamas party assignment, just whatever it is. If you're lucky, you will get something that you like. Even if you don't like it, try and do it and absorb the learnings from it. After 5 years, speak to yourself, not before that. Like people, even in my campus, I remember we used to think, man, I want to do brand management because we saw the coolest roles coming from brand, or man, I want to do like some other marketing, right? Like just forget all of that. Just look at opportunities. The tougher and the harder roles you can get early on, the better. If you have companies who are giving you opportunities in markets they are not leaders in, it's better to start your career. If you start your career in a brand where you're already a leader, then you're just sustaining that. You're not grabbing share from somebody else and you're not learning. So when you do that, then you pick up the skill sets that, hey, you realize during the time after 1 year, man, I'm actually good at crafting messages. So I might be good in writing copy. Or, hey, I'm good at actually engaging with the community. Then I might be good in social media marketing where I'm engaging with the community. So, there are so many things out there. You don't need to specialize right now. And you have time for that. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So Apoorv actually, wanted to take up, what has been your experience so far, while mentoring people for counsel, and why do you do
Yeah.
it in the first place?
I think I just love giving back, man. Like, so in IMT, I was part of the alumni committee, and I actually started, me and my colleague in the Alcom, we started the mentorship program in IMT, and it's still going live today. I'm proud of it. And one thing I realized, there is nothing that beats experience, right? When I speak to students on the campus platform, I love it. It's because it takes me back. And I always thought that when I speak to like a 10-year younger version of myself, I'd just be smiling and basically empathizing, right? I never liked those big accomplished people who would tell you this is right, this is wrong, because there is never a right and wrong thing. So I love doing it because, and if you see the feedback of my people, like we just have fun. And more often than not, we end up realizing together that the answer has been with them all along, right? And they are the ones who say like, yeah, you were right, I was thinking about it, but I was not sure. So I'm like, people forget that they want to have fun in lives, right? Because they take everything so seriously, and they just need somebody like me with a badge of like an Amazon and an Apple to like, oh, if he's saying that, that must be right. So yeah, I mean, I just do it for giving back one, and even if I help somebody like a 10% help make them the next few steps, then nothing like it.
Yeah. So anybody watching this, who wants to get a one-on-one sessions with Apoorv, we actually do 3 one-on-one sessions with our mentors. So, please feel free to sign up for that particular program. You'll find the link in the description. One of the things I can say from my own experience, since I also mentor people, is that there's also so much to learn from the mentees themselves, because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been what, 9 years since I got out of campus. And also it's I think a considerable gap in time now, so it's sometimes fascinating to know about how people are thinking,
Yeah.
and so yeah. Anyway, moving back to marketing and our questions, very interesting question from our YouTube comments by Nikhil Manoj. Which marketing book has influenced you the most? Very interesting question.
Oh man, that's a really that's a really bad question, because I suck at reading books, man. I mean, I have to say, I would say, okay. So truth be told, you should definitely read books. Like you should definitely do. That's something that I've been trying to work on myself personally. Full honesty there, but I am the kind of a guy that absorbs more from the visual format, the video format, than reading. Like that's just me, okay? But so I would say I learned a lot from uh, movies, documentaries, and I don't know if people know this out there. I'm a national level basketball player, so I really like for everything I go back to sport. So whenever I watch a sports movie or anything like that, life is nothing but a sport. When you go to the office, it's that team that you're working with and who you pass the ball and would depend on to make the shot to actually win the game. Nothing like that, right? So I wouldn't say like I don't have an answer straight away for a book, but I would say if something that inspired me is a lot of sports movies, because it one really teaches you about teamwork. So remember, like, you guys are listening to me. Any part of my success is not because what I do in myself. Like I have learned everything I have from people around me, my managers, my peers, even people I've managed directly. In fact, I've learned a lot from people I've managed directly. And trust. The biggest thing I've learned from those movies is trust. Like if you don't have the trust to pass the ball, you can take the shot as well. In fact, I was known in my basketball team for taking all the shots myself. But the moment you learn to trust the other person and pass that ball, you'll realize that you will be a leader one day. So like that's what I would say.
So are you saying that people should go and watch The Last Dance then? Is that what you're saying?
Whatever rocks your boat, yeah.
Okay, great. Going to the next question. One guy's answer asked a very pertinent question. Ashutosh Nagaria asks, "Is this a good time to do an MBA?" Very very good question.
That's a great question, man. I have thought about that. I think, yes, see, it's a great time to invest in yourself. That's what I would call, right? Now, MBA, if you have the resources. So remember one thing, sorry, I'm not connected to the college world right now. So I don't know if they're actually going to be physical classes that happen soon. Um, I am not a very big fan of online learning when it comes to a postgrad level. Like you can do it at like my own son is doing online classes. Like, so it's fine when you're at a junior level, but it's very important to build social skills when you're at a senior level, as somebody at an MBA would be. So unless there is a physical atmosphere that gets created, I would not encourage jumping onto that boat immediately. But that shouldn't stop you from investing in yourself. And that means, like I said, investing in courses. There are lots and lots of free courses, and like you spoke about, Ankit, you're doing some stuff as well. Try and absorb as much as you can, right? But the advantage that you get in MBA is that everything is structured. So if you're doing an MBA, great already. If you're not, then try and keep things structured. Like if you want to learn on 3 topics, then plan out what things are there, what resources are there online. If you have to invest money somewhere, how much budget you have, instead of just going randomly and doing everything that's available online, because then your mind will also get lost, right? So yeah, I mean, happy to recommend doing an MBA, but only maybe sometime later.
Okay. Okay. Um, you know, there is a question. Actually, there are a lot of questions on AI and ML, and I think obviously you mentioned earlier that people just look at those buzzwords and end up taking up courses. But truly, in your experience, how do you think is AI changing marketing, and is that having an impact on how you run your campaigns, how you decide what you're going to do? I'm saying on the ground in practice, how much of is it actually happening, or is it just something that a very small community keeps talking about, but in reality it's not used a lot? So this is a question by Sahil Kaushal. What is the scope of AI and ML in marketing? There is again, G Sampath Kumar asked the same question. So yeah, what is your view on this?
Sure. So I think I would say that AI ML does not have a direct correlation to market. Like, you and I would probably not get into AI and ML directly, but it is absolutely essential in the backbone of marketing, which is technology, right? So I personally am an extremely data-driven marketer. Like if I don't have data, if I just have anecdotal feedback in front of me, I'll never trust that person. And AI ML is nothing but taking data and intelligence into what you do as a marketer, right? So it could be as simple as running an email campaign, right? Earlier, you would have these, tool sets to run an email campaign, see what the conversions are, see what the open rate is. Then things started progressing. It came to A/B testing. If I would say this message versus this message, which message works better? Now it's starting to progress into single person level customization, right? Based on machine learning. Like, because I know you historically have responded to a subject of email which says, hey, Ankit, cool offer for you, versus, hey, Ankit, special offer for you. So if the cool word works better than special for you, then I will actually send a campaign which says that to you, right? The next level in AI, I think, is prediction, right? So for example, take a typical e-commerce setup, right? So when you're browsing through the website, you say, click on electronics, click on mobiles, click on smartphones. The experience is more or less standardized for someone. You might see different banners here and there. If you ask me 5 years down the line, that will change as well. What you see as a next page will also be different. I don't know how many of you have been tracking. There's something called as GPT-3. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's mind-blowing.
Amazing, right? And it's not far off that you will see marketers using that to your advantage. Like, I don't have to sit and craft a copy. I can say, give me a nice greeting for Diwali talking about smartphones. Like, correct. So it's that intelligence is coming in the underlying tools for marketers. And if you don't have to know AI/ML, but you have to know how it works and what's the logic behind it. If you do that, then obviously it's good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was just fascinated by that tweet generator. That GPT-3 is
exactly
one of the applications someone's tried, and it's just like mind-blowing. Some of it is too real.
I know exactly.
But I know what you're saying, because we recognize this as well, and what we've done is that we've kind of dedicated 3 days just to marketing analytics and data, as a part of this program. So I think around the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of September, 3 days we are running a program that is dedicated just on how you can use data to make better marketing decisions, and people probably get some. Anyway, if anybody's interested, please look at the link and do sign up. The next question that I have is from I mean, a very generic question that a lot of people have asked. So I thought maybe, you could answer it once for all of them, which is that what are the
Sure.
skills that recruiters look for in a marketing or a brand strategy role? Is there a list of things or attributes that you think people look for? And is there a way in which people can prepare for it? So this is a question that was asked by Aditya Kapoor. But I think there have been references to something like this by a lot of people. Sharan is asking, how can I work on my marketing profile if I have a sales background in the past?
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I think that could be a if there is any list of attributes or core skills that you feel that someone should target so that eventually they can reach a marketing brand strategy role.
Uh, sure. So I think a little bit of an open-ended question, but I'll still give it a shot. Uh, I think, like I said earlier, the interviewer first will look at the match of your personality with the traits or the culture of the company. Don't forget that. People always jump. What's the marketing question that I have to prepare for? But let's say, like, if Bacardi comes for an interview too, and this actually happened to me, like if Bacardi comes for an interview too, and you're not the culture fit for Bacardi, right? Like you will not make it, like no matter how much you try, right? Same way, during campus I gave lots of interviews. Procter and Gamble was one, Vodafone was one. I actually didn't make it to Procter and Gamble. I'm happy to share my experience now in hindsight. The final round, I couldn't make it, and I realized later, and I asked the interviewer, like, why didn't you choose me? He said, you were not a culture fit. Like, we are looking for simple, sober people and all. And I was this crazy shotgun type marketing guy who was a perfect fit for Vodafone. So it is about your personality fit first. Second, marketing, you have to have some consumer level thinking. Remember, at a campus level, if you it's okay if you've not done stints where you have solved real life problems out there, but be it in your internship, be it in your college campus festivals, whatever is it, if you're able to convince the interviewer that, here is what my consumer was, end consumer, this is what the problem statement was, and this is how I went about it. So they will see your structuring approach. Don't just randomly blurt out answers, structure it in. In fact, even with people like us, like 15, 20 years of experience, we start on the whiteboard by writing what's the consumer problem, even today. And that's what people will look for in interviews all the way back. So maybe Sharad and the others, that's what helps you answer your question. Sorry, on another thing, the question around sales to marketing, right? So on sales to marketing, very important I want to call out is what helped me is, even in my sales stints, you're always doing things that apply in marketing. So for example, when you go to shops, you change the way posters are kept in the shop, like certain eye level or whatever it is. Certain posters work better, certain offers work better. You should be able to talk about what language works better. See, because marketing is all about communications, right? So is a certain call out works better, a certain recharge value. I'm just giving my Vodafone examples, but what from your sales stints work better from a consumer communication standpoint? If you're able to call that out in your interview or your resume, then that will help you crack that marketing role.
Great. So we are coming to an end of today's sessions, but I will take a few more questions because
Sure.
Apoorv, if you have time, we have many
Absolutely.
more
Yeah.
questions left. Okay, great.
Sure.
So there is this entire world of SEO and lot of performance marketing, as they call it today, right? And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
something that I find a lot of people in the YouTube comment section also asking, can a career in SEO marketing be created? Can I become an entrepreneur who is just helping people become a better performance marketer? I mean, given that a lot of these fields, at least I know when I was doing my B school study, at that point of time, they were just like very, very passing references to this. I can't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
of anybody launching a new product today that who can afford to ignore something as, I mean, what is actually already quite archaic like SEO,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, in a way, we are all kind of dependent in this Google bubble, on the Google bubble, because people still, I
Yeah.
mean, it has a massive market share, and there's always this race to figure out, how can I get a better listing? How can I come across as somebody that is easy to find when someone's looking for something? So how do you see that entire evolution of careers in this space around performance marketing, SEOs, people running ads on, Facebook, Instagram? Completely different world, requires very different kind of skills. So yeah, any tips or what are your views on this as well?
Sure. So I think if you want to become a generic, so those are skill sets that you can't ignore. Like, that will not go away. I was just speaking to somebody this morning and we were discussing, digital marketing, if you ask me, has only seen 1% of what it's going to be like. Like, people think we're reaching the peak. I'm very confident it's 99% not even touched. We've scratched the surface.
Right.
COVID has obviously given it a catapult, but 10 years down the line, it'll be a different world, man. Like, you can't even imagine. Like, it'll be completely digital. It'll be completely different. And I'm saying digital right now, probably it might even be AR, or God knows what Apple's comes up with. Right. So anyway, so jokes apart, I would say that these are specialized skill sets, right? You either have two options. You can't choose to ignore it. You can either specialize and go deep, 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 really deep, and become like the king of the jungle, because you will be really valued in every org you go for a specialized expertise, right? And trust me, the canvas is going to grow bigger. You and I know Google, Facebook right now, there will be new platforms, right? There will be more. It's not like these two are going to be remain like this forever, right? There will be overnight companies which will become big, and that will also fall in the performance marketing portfolio. Or that's one direction, or you get cursory knowledge. You have enough knowledge to understand what's a great campaign versus a failure like it just didn't work out for you. Because remember, this is all money. It's solid dollars going into marketing. And ultimately, when you become like a chief marketing officer or even like a chief business officer, you will be accountable for the money that goes into performance marketing. It's very easy to people come and fool you like, ye campaign nahi chala, whatever. If you don't ask the why, if you don't understand the whys, you will never be a successful, like a CXO level point of a person. So you have to have some basic skill sets, because if not specialized, you can always hire somebody later who specializes into that. But yeah, I mean, you have to have basic knowledge around it.
That actually brings me to also this thing around influencer marketing, which has become another massive thing, right? And first of all, before I get into that, do you have any favorite influencer or content creator that you follow on any of the various platforms, and who might somehow convince you to buy a product because he or she is a great content creator and an influencer?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite, even like since like I think the past 7, 8 odd years, is like MKBHD. He's an American producer, YouTube tech reviewer, young guy, really, really cool. I don't know how many of some of you might know him. Completely not related to Apple. It's not like we pay him or anything. Like, I'm just saying, like, he's a genuine guy. And I think coming to your question around like just a thought around influencer marketing, I'm personally not the biggest fan of influencer marketing, right? Especially after coming to Apple, I think the one thing that's changed me as a marketer is learning to be authentic, right? That's something that's shaken my ground a lot. Is if you can't tell a story in the most authentic way, you're never going to gain the trust of your consumers, no matter what, especially as a marketer, because you're supposed to tell stories which might blow up a product larger than life, right? And influencer marketing, more often than not, and without going into details, is very popular among most brands in India, is paid, right? The moment there is a financial leverage with somebody, the person will always say something he or she doesn't believe in. And I feel that comes out, it might give you a run for your money in the short run, but it will come out, people will spot it. You will also end up getting people like, yaar, isko to paisa mil raha hai, isliye bol raha hai, sort of a reactions, right? And that can hurt your brand as well. So I generally feel like if you want to do it the right way. Get real fans of your products to use it and talk about it without you even telling them about the product, right? And that's the beauty, that if you believe in your products, it will automatically come out.
But then, Apoorva, wouldn't you then say that, I mean, then brand ambassadors also work, right? Like, for example, people have leveraged the brands like Virat Kohli or MS
Yeah,
Dhoni or
yeah,
Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, even, upcoming stars in other sports which are
yeah,
not as big, like, say, PV Sindhu, etc. And they seem to
yeah.
be working for those brands, right? So, is it something, because I'm saying that you could have said that even there, right? कि ये तो उसको पैसा मिल रहा है इसलिए विराट कोहली is endorsing something, but it
Yeah,
tends to have an impact, right? So I understand that maybe it may not necessarily
sure.
be the right strategy for all the brands, but would you say
Yeah.
that you know I mean, if content is engaging, and if there is a very nice seamless kind of an integration of a brand, would you still say that it will end up being inauthentic, and people will feel that नहीं ये तो पैसा दिया है इसलिए किया हुआ है? Like, what if
So
the
I would
subject
say,
of the content
sure,
stays true to what the content was?
sure, sure. So on brand ambassadors, I have similar feelings as well. Like I never believe in brand ambassadors
Okay.
unless you, depends on the stage of your company. Unless you're at that place where you want to reach that critical mass, which allows your product to succeed or to be well known enough to succeed on its own. So allow me to explain what I'm saying. First and foremost, if your product isn't good, if your product isn't great, doesn't matter, you can get Shah Rukh Khan for every single ad, it will not work. Your product has to be great. In fact, I can count on my fingertips the number of companies in India who've had those 4 or 5, there's a select 5 brand ambassadors, Dhoni, Virat, whatever, these 4 or 5 people, Shah Rukh and all these guys, who very few, many have used them, but very few have successfully leveraged them. And that's because the product is always good. Second, they started not later, they started early on, when they felt a brand personality and a product connect, and there was some sort of authenticity. Like, I don't remember. I remember seeing Sachin promoting something, and there was no relation. Like, there was no brand connect. It was just like you could very easily say that, "Bas paisa diya isliye bol raha hai," and then, like,
Hmm.
Sachin's voice was like just saying it, right? Again, no offense to anybody out there, but what
Fair,
I'm trying
fair.
to say is, you get that reach, build that connect, and if you still see the brand has some sort of a connect that's going on, then do it. I mean, like, some examples are like Byju's and Big Basket, who've leveraged Shah Rukh Khan really well. But do you know 1,000 other brands who've leveraged Shah Rukh Khan and have just gone and
Failed.
lost because of Shah Rukh's salary? So it's a very tricky, very, very, very tricky thing. I mean, I would not risk personally on that.
Great point. But anybody who's looking to dive deeper into this, we have a very interesting, content and influencer marketing program, which will, I think, also run for 3 days, which will, I think, explore a lot of these aspects that Apoorva just brought up. And we will obviously talk about failures as well, not just, successes. So yeah, that's absolutely great. There is, one question which I personally, I'm not aware, but maybe if you can throw some light on, because we've spoken about digital, we've spoken about TV in
Yeah,
a way right now. But
yeah,
Adhayan Agarwal is asking, there was a billboard war between Republic TV and India Today about a few days ago, and
yeah,
and I think we've seen such billboard wars between an Indigo and a SpiceJet and a Swiggy and Zomato, and
yeah.
a lot of these people tend to do this, right? So um, I mean, I don't know what is the logic of using it during a pandemic. Maybe because the billboards are available for cheap. But typically, when these kinds of campaigns are run, what is the intent behind it? Does it help both the brands? Does it help only one brand? What are your views about this strategy that some brands take?
Yeah, I personally haven't done that piece, but it's interesting. So I think if it's done in the right jest, in the right spirit, it can actually help both brands. And this is legendary, man. Like, for years and years, I mean, I am sure you've seen marketing case studies around BMW and Audi doing this in across the world. Coke and Pepsi doing it, like the legendary wars there. So I think the need, I don't see a need to do it. Like, there is. So here's one thing, okay? Here's the other thing that I've learned, if I could say, in my recent years, is that the moment you acknowledge competition, it becomes competition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it is for me, it's the biggest revelation at Apple. Like, like the moment you like look at the other person and like, "Ye kya kar raha hai?" Like, your mind is on that and not on your own product and on your customer. And then your customer is also looking at that, right? So imagine like 10,000 SpiceJet customers who would never considered in Indigo, and I don't know the examples you're talking about, they are now considering Indigo. So it's if your brand and your message, or even like if you're really smart about doing it the right way, like a brand like a BMW would have done it because obviously their customers know how they did their homework. They knew that there is a certain set and they're playing on these chips. So it's like a Russian roulette game, right? Like you're playing your chips at the right time when you know you can win. When you're
Right.
in the slightest doubt, then man, like again, like keep going back to the risk. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Sure. After the brand ambassador thing, there are people who started trolling a few people here in the comment section, talking about various celebrities and the brands that they endorse, and
Yeah,
which are clearly not working very well.
yeah,
Okay, great. So I think we are almost at the end of this. What I'm going to do
yeah,
is, just again reiterate the fact that Apoorv, is a great mentor that we have on our panel. And if there is anybody here who wants to get mentored by Apoorv, I think he's you know who he is. You've probably seen him over the last 1 hour. And if you feel that he can add value to your career growth, please feel free to kind of sign up, and our team will get in touch with you. And Apoorv's got fantastic feedback so far with respect to the students that he's currently mentoring. Also, before I leave, I'll just talk about the marketing fest again one more time. There will be a series of things that we'll be doing. So the way we've spoken to Apoorv today, I know you will see a series of videos and live sessions that will be taking place over the next few days, on our channel. So, and a lot of that content, I'd say most of that content is completely free. So, feel free to, learn from it, enjoy that content, ask questions, wherever possible, we'll try and answer those questions. And if you're interested in, specifically going into areas of marketing, then I think we have a stellar lineup of people, who would be helping you learn that. So we have the founder of Terribly Tiny Tales, who's going to be running the content and influencer marketing, workshop. We have uh, uh, the regional brand manager of Kenor brand at Unilever. He was doing that for a long time, in Europe, who's going to be taking our FMCG marketing 101 program. Then we have an IIM Ahmedabad alumnus, Manishi, who was managing the Tag Heuer brand in India, who's going to be taking the analytics, sessions, and he's obviously, currently running an analytics-based company. So he's from that particular field. And we have the founder of Corksmith, an upcoming jewelry brand, who build their entire business, online via Shopify and Instagram. And she'll be helping you, actually figure out how to build an e-commerce brand. So if you're interested, feel free to kind of sign up for these programs. Apoorv, thank you so much for doing this with us. I think it is going to be extremely insightful what people have who attended the sessions live. I'm also sure that people are going to watch this even after we end the session, and they are going to really like your ideas and your insights. I think it was really enriching, the session today.
yeah.
And yeah, any last words that you want to say before we end the session to the students? Because I must say that there is still a little bit of anxiety somewhere that I see, when students write to us these days, students and professionals actually, not just students,
Yeah,
with respect
yeah,
to, just the situation in general.
yeah,
It is not like, it's not the happiest of times. So yeah,
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
leave the
yeah,
last word
yeah.
with you.
Sure. So first of all, this is amazing. I really enjoyed the questions. I feel terrible. I have not been able to take each and every question on live screen, but again, happy to help people when you sign up to the program. I'll try and take out whatever time I can. I mean, I would love to engage with you if you're thinking about consumer marketing, technology, startups, even B2B. I have experience in brand. Anything else that you want and just want to bounce off, I'd be happy to help there. But just a parting thought to everybody is somebody told this to me way back in April, right? Don't worry, like it is going to be okay. The world has seen much more difficult times. We will come out of it. You don't have to go by my word. Imagine we were stuck in like the 1800s and a locust flu came around, right? Like we are literally sitting in our homes, connected to high-speed internet, talking to our friends and colleagues, and we have getting stuff getting delivered to our doorstep at the click of a touch, right? Like this is the best. Like we are the luckiest to we have what we have, and have faith. The best brains in the world are out there, and you should be confident in yourself. Like it's very important at this time. Don't forget who you were 5 months before or who you will be 10 months down the line. And it's going to make all of us better versions of ourselves when we come out of it. And hopefully we'll all be raising a toast to this time together.
Great. Thank you so much, Apoorv. Guys, thank you so much for joining today. We'll be ending the session. I am Ankit Doshi. I'm the creator of InsideIM.com and the Campus app. And stay tuned for amazing content over the next few days and months. And thank you for your support always.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Okay.